More than 25 palaces and castles belong to the British royal family. Everybody heard about the Buckingham Palace, as some people maybe saw our video about this palace, but not so many people know about other 20 royal residences. You're on Smapse TV channel, and today we'll visit Great Britain to get acquainted with the top 5 houses of the royal family. Balmoral Castle. Queen Elizabeth II found peace in Balmoral Castle. Balmoral, which is on the bank of the River Dee, was the summer residence of Queen Victoria some time ago. She liked to spend the end of summer here. Moreover, to spend time near the river was recommended to Victoria by her personal doctor. It also influenced the choice of the palace of the royal residence. After a king and a queen came in Scotland, they were fully out of luck with weather. There was always rainy. That is why choosing a palace for a state, they took into consideration location where the climate was drier. The castle became a witness of several events. Nicholas II with his wife stayed here in 1896. And also Prince Charles introduced Lady Diana at first time to his family in these walls. The castle was constructed in 1852 under the instruction of Prince Albert, who bought an estate here in Scottish Gothic style for £32,000 sterling. The purchased castle was too small for the royal family, then architect expanded its domain. This castle, in contradistinction to many other royal estates, is not a property of the crown, as it is supposed to be a private property. Queen Elizabeth II also liked this palace very much. It's rumored that she did not allow the staff to clean dishes here. Only in this residence, Queen did the housekeeping by herself with a big pleasure, and she felt as being at home. Even when there was a meeting with Prime Minister Harold Wilson in the castle, Queen Elizabeth II was at the meeting wearing an apron and having stood near the sink. Moreover, it is said that the Queen liked to catch bats in this castle, which lived in the ballroom for a long time. She took nets and ran around the hall with the staff. To be honest, I cannot imagine Queen Elizabeth being in this role. Hampton Court. This palace initially was constructed by Thomas Wolsey, who was a powerful cardinal and English statesman at the beginning of the 16th century, one of the main counselor of the King Henry VIII, and actually he governed England on behalf of the king. Wolsey started construction of Hampton Court in 1515 to create a luxurious palace which represented his wealth and influence. He chose the palace on the River Thames to reach London easier and faster. Hampton Court was built in the style of Tudor Gothic. It differed by the red brick, high flues and big windows. There were spacious halls for welcomes, luxurious bedrooms, gorgeous gardens and big kitchens in Hampton Court. Wolsey did not economize on the palace creation. Misunderstandings started between Wolsey and Henry VIII in 1529. The main reason of it was a failure in the support of annulment of the king with Catherine of Aragon. Wolsey was in fear for his life, and that is why he gave Hampton Court to Henry, believing in king's favor. Wolsey died in 1530 without having time to return king's trust, but his palace became one of the most favorite residences of Henry VIII. Henry made Hampton Court Palace wider and rebuilt it. That palace became one of the main royal palaces. He added new chapels, galleries, and privy chamber. Henry VIII built a big hall that became a center of palatial life and palace for grand banquets and warm welcomes. Having such a rich history, Hampton Court has a lot of ghost stories. Catherine Howard was the 5th wife of King Henry. Her marriage with the king was short and tragical. She was arrested on an accusation of betrayal in 1541. According to the legend, after arrest, Catherine was jailed in Hampton Court. When she knew that she would be executed, she tried to escape from her chamber and ran through the corridor, which name could be translated as ghostly gallery. But she was caught by guardians and she was returned back. And it's sad that her ghost is still in this gallery, and visitors claim that they hear screams and see a pale figure searching doors. Also, it is sad that there is a grey lady ghost of a woman in these walls. His name is Sybil Penn. She was a nurse of children of Henry, especially of Princess Elizabeth. Sybil Pan died in 1562 and she was buried close to Hampton Court. In 1829, her tomb was accidentally harassed during the reconstruction. Since that time, stories started to appear about grey ghosts straying in the corridors and rooms of the palace. Moreover, Hampton Court became famous due to a labyrinth which locates here. It is garden labyrinth which is made from hedge, and it is one of the oldest labyrinths of such type. Jerome Klapka Jerome told about it in his novel Three Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog. But in the novel, this labyrinth was described as something cunning. In reality, it could be covered for 20 minutes. Especially, Hampton Labyrinth made an impression for American psychologist Edmund D. Stafford, who offered to use the labyrinth for experiments and research of the learning ability of laboratory rats. Castle of May. It was built between 1566 and 1572 by order of George Sinclair, the 4th Earl of Caithness. The castle was in a role of this main residence on the north coast of Scotland. The castle was built in traditional Scottish style, which is also called as Scottish Powerhouse. It characterizes by high stone towers with thick walls and narrow windows, which were for defensive purposes. There also were living quarters for Earl's family, his guests and servants, and also there were rooms for banquets and formal receptions. In 1952, the castle was bought by Elizabeth Bowes Lyon, also known as Queen Mother. Especially this moment of the life of the Queen Elizabeth could be watched in one of the series of serial The Crown from Netflix. Queen Mother put enough money and efforts in reconstruction of the castle. She hired a team of architects and builders who worked on the reconstruction of interior and exterior rooms. Ancient architectural elements were reconstructed, such as towers, windows, and stone stairs. Also, modern accommodations were added for more comfortable living. In July of 1996, the castle farm and neighboring territories were given to be controlled by Queen Elizabeth Castle of May Trust. Since that time, the castle and the garden were regularly opened for visitors. Nowadays, there is an opportunity to feel as a part of royal family and to spend several days and nights in this castle. But to be more precise, in the guest house, the Granary Lodge Bed and Breakfast. Now let's move on to one of the most signature residences. It's Windsor Castle. It was built by William the Conqueror at the end of the 11th century, after his victory in the Battle of Hastings in 1066. The castle was strategically set on the rise of the River Thames. It allowed to control important transport ways and to provide protection from potential invasions. During the whole story of the castle's existence, it was a residence for 39 monarchs. The castle came through several important stages of reconstruction and enlargement, especially with King Henry II, Edward III, and George IV. Each era added its architectural elements. Thereby, Windsor Castle combines different architectural styles, including medieval Gothicism, Renaissance, and Neoclassic. Gothic elements could be seen in St. George's Chapel, which was built in the 14th century, but Renaissance and Neoclassical elements could be seen in the interiors, which were reconstructed by George IV in the 19th century. Windsor Castle is wrapped in mysteries and riddles. For example, there is a secret tunnel which goes from the castle to the outside of the residence. According to rumors, there is a pass which goes from the castle to the bar. The tunnel for drinks brings members of the royal family directly to Duke's. This bar is especially famous by its excellent martini cocktails. It is here where Ian Fleming got an inspiration for writing his series about James Bond. To be honest, it is just rumors, but the idea is brilliant. There is one of the biggest collections of masterpieces in the world in Windsor Castle. You'll find here works of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Rembrandt. In the collection of the castle, there are exclusive pieces of furniture and antiques, including pieces of rare breed of wood decorated by gemstones and carvings. The library of Windsor Castle contains rare books, manuscripts, and documents. There are manuscripts of Leonardo da Vinci in this collection. Moreover, the doll house of Queen Mary is also here. The house was constructed at the beginning of 1920, it was finished in 1924. One more feature of Windsor Castle is its guardsmen. The bear fur hats, which are worn by them, weighed almost 1 kilo and have the height of 45 centimeters. These hats became a symbol of the whole British Royal Guard. This hat firstly appeared in the 17th century. At that time, artillerymen from British and French army had to wear a bear fur hat to look higher and larger. It was supposed to scare an enemy. It is interesting that such hats were attached under the nose and not under the chin. The thing is, weight of hats could be 4 kilograms, and if they were attached under the chin, then after a wound they could fall over and break the neck of the carrier. And of course, Buckingham Palace. It is one more signature place of the royal family. It is the official London residence and administrative headquarters of the monarchs of the United Kingdom. Buckingham Palace was bought by the King George III in 1761. George III paid £21,000, which is approximately £3 million now, to buy it for his wife, Queen Charlotte, who gave birth to 14 children out of 15 in this castle. But Queen Victoria was the first monarch who officially called Buckingham Palace as a royal residence. She settled in there after her coronation in 1837. Initially, this house was a little country house which was in a rural district to neighborhood London. It was gradually expanded and modernized, having become a big architectural construction which we could see now. Starting from the early 19th century, Buckingham Palace was undergone several phases of reconstruction under the guidance of the architects and designers of that time. John Nash was one of the famous architects who worked on the reconstruction of Buckingham Palace. He made large reconstructions which, as a result, helped the palace to get its modern design with outstanding facade and huge porch. There are 775 rooms in Buckingham Palace, among which 188 bedrooms for the staff. 92 rooms are cabinets, 78 bathrooms, 52 royal chambers, and rooms for guests, 19 public rooms. Moreover, there are 760 windows and 1,514 doors. 40,000 light bulbs fill the palace with the light. By the way, the ballroom is the first room where the light was set in 1883. Fun fact, when Netflix filmed the series The Crown, it was never filmed in Buckingham Palace. All the scenes which showed Buckingham Palace were filmed at the mansion Lancaster House, at Ely Cathedral, or at Eltham Palace. The Buckingham Palace has been a special place for a long time. In 1837, the palace was interested by ordinary people and even teenagers. There was English stalker among them who's nicknamed as the Boy Jones. It was a boy who became famous for breaking into Buckingham Palace several times. Jones was caught in the palace several times, starting from 1838 when he was just 14 years old. He first broke into the palace in December 1838 and he was caught when he tried to steal personal things from Queen's chamber. After this case, he broke into the palace several times despite efforts of police and the guard. He claimed that several times he hid under the furniture and oversaw Queen. Jones was arrested several times and finally he was condemned to jail and was deported to Australia. And so our royal episode has come to an end. If you want a sequel, please write about it in the comments and do not forget to visit our website smapse.com where you can learn more about Study Abroad.